Hello, my name is Linda Yates, and I first came to Trinity in the early 1950s, right after my husband and I got married and returned from Gainesville, where we had gone to the University of Florida. I grew up going to Sunday school out at Miccosukee, a small rural church. And so I continued in my married life. Going to Sunday school really just is habit forming. If you go once or twice, you become part of a class, and it's what you do on Sunday morning. Go to Sunday school and then to church. At Trinity, we first attended Wesley Fellowship class. At that time, Trinity, in the early 1960s and late 50s, had a huge Sunday school enrollment. There were over 600 adults attending Sunday school in several different classes, and there were about that many children also attending Sunday school. A total of 1,200 or so people enrolled. We attended Wesley's fellowship class, and at that time it was located in where the youth center is now, in Trinity Hall. We needed a very large room because the attendance averaged 200 to 250 adults each Sunday. And part of the attraction was an outstanding speaker, Dr. Sam Neal. He was a professor and chaplain at Florida State University, and very charismatic, and everyone enjoyed his classes tremendously. There were other adults also attending classes at Trinity at that time. There was the Wesley Brotherhood class, the Feckle-Steinmeier class for women, and several others. I've always been interested in the Feckle-Steinmeier class because this was a group of women who always wore hats and gloves to both Sunday school and class. That's what you did in those days. You wore a hat and gloves to church and Sunday school. The Feckle-Steinmeier class had started many years early, probably in the 1930s, and was quite large. The Wesley Brotherhood class, naturally all men, wasn't quite that big, but they were quite active too. Later my children were born and they attended Sunday school, and as I recall, the children's classes were pretty much as they are today. Loving teachers, literature that the children could draw on and read and take home with them to study during the week. I remember several teachers of my own through the years that impressed me. Not only Dr. Sam Neal, he left to become president of St. Petersburg Junior College, so we looked around for more teachers. And the next one that I recall was Dr. Joe Hooton, who was principal of the FSU demonstration school at the time. He was quite an interesting person, and we had lively discussions in what was called at that time the Adult Bible Study class. I remember a session right before Easter when we were talking earnestly about the meaning of the resurrection and getting ready to celebrate Easter Sunday. And Joe Hooton was exasperated because of a commercial he had heard on the radio that advised everyone to be sure and get their Easter beer before the stores were closed on Saturday night. He thought that was awful, and today I still remember that story of his about the Easter bear. I really haven't heard anything quite like that since. Now we just worry about an Easter bonnet or a hat or a new outfit to wear for Easter Sunday. I remember the advanced studies class, which we attended a little later. At that time, the teacher was Betty Pfeiffer. She was a religion professor at Florida State. And I especially remember a series of classes that she taught on death and dying. Betty was quite a scholar and had wonderful material that she had used in her classes at Florida State, and that she just taught us as well in Sunday school. This session on death and dying was very useful to all of us, we thought, but we really saw it in action when Betty herself became seriously ill with cancer. And she rapidly declined, but kept teaching as long as she could. And then later we realized that she had been a perfect example demonstrating what it means to prepare for death and what it means to have eternal life in the future. That later the class was named in her memory and continues today. Later we started when Reverend John Quigley was here as an associate minister. We started the adult Bible study class. My husband and I were among the charter members of that group, and 20 or 30 years later that class still continues and we are still members. We have to laugh about how many times we have gone through studying each chapter of the Bible and realize that it really doesn't matter, because as we age we need to have our memories refreshed every year, as we forget so much of what we studied before. Today the Wesley Fellowship class was declining in membership, and our class also needed additional members. So just last year, in 2015, we combined the two classes. So now we're called the Wesley Bible Study Sunday School class, and we continue to meet today. Sunday school has been always important to me, as I mentioned earlier, and I am so happy to learn that it has always been very important to Trinity. In fact, the church first talked about starting a Sunday school class in 1837, and it has continued all of those years, growing to a peak membership of over 1,200 probably in the 1960s. But like all of society, people dropping out through the years and going on to other things. But for those of us who appreciate what you learn in Sunday school, and knowing that is one way to learn the Bible in depth, it still remains important. This is Linda Yates, a member of Trinity since the 1950s, and I've enjoyed talking with you today about our Sunday school classes.